I can confirm that I have never in any way passed to any leadership office to receive any inducement or a favor or even a bribe to pass a particular bill or a statement or a motion. I treat those things that were said by Moses Kuria as just gossip. So it is a serious issue. So if there are many parliamentarians who are accused of corruption and it is being proven through Powers and Privileges Committee that is chaired by the speakers, then that member can even lose their seat. The country was peaceful. The country was, businesses were being carried. So I hope the police are high on alert, because we know his currency is blackmail and intimidation, and he wants to use his presence to intimidate government and intimidate all of us to try and show how powerful he, which is not true. The coming of the former deputy president in the country will not see the resurgence of looting of businesses, burning of businesses, burning of police stations, killings and maimings. He must, should he run afoul, he must be arrested and be prosecuted, because he is not above the law.
Na mpenzi mtazamaji wa Sauti TV, tuko na bahati sana leo kupatana na seneta kijana, seneta kutoka kaunti ya Nandi, ambaye anaiwakilisha kaunti ya Nandi katika bunge la seneti, Mheshimiwa Samson Cherarkey. Karibu sana kwenye Sauti TV. Sijui wiki yako imekuwaje? Najua wiki imekuwa busy kidogo, mambo yamekuwa mengi. Tulianza wiki pale kulikuwa na parliamentary group. Last week pia ulikuwa penye devolution conference. Sijui hali iko vipi?
Hali iko sawa. Hii wiki jana tulikuwa na wewe pale Homa Bay, na uliona vile tulisakata mpira, tukalima magavana tangu 5 mtungi, na baada ya hapo ulifuatilia ile conversation tulikuwa naye, but that conference fell short because we didn't take the stock of the entire devolution success story katika taifa letu la Kenya, because in as much as counties mapata 4 trillion Kenya shillings, it is not commensurate. The money that has gone to mashinani is not commensurate on development that we see on the ground. So those are the things we should have discussed. We should have seen the issues, the successes of the devolution, and the challenges like corruption, like late disbursement, like non-prioritization of public demand projects, ile wananchi wanakusudia zifanyike. On this week, of course, tumekuwa na parliamentary group meeting pale KCB Leadership Center, na you know what transpired, na hiyo ndio tumekuwa na, and then of course we had special sitting jana kuconsider ile impeachment charges against the governor of Kericho. Now, there are 2 ways of impeaching a governor. 1 is through committee, 2 is through plenary. Yesterday, members declined through the committee to enter plenary. So the speaker is supposed to gazette Wednesday, Thursday and Friday to hear the impeachment charges against the governor of Kericho. So, and of course, we have just walked out from a committee meeting of County Public Accounts Committee, where the governor of Mandera was appearing to answer audit queries on financial year 2023-2024. Yeah.
Yes, Mheshimiwa, allow me to raise some issues that have been debated for the last week and the start of this week. Obviously, kuna lile swala la corruption in houses of parliament. Tumeona Prime Minister Raila Odinga alijaribu ku raise hiyo issue. President mwenyewe akiwa pale Homa Bay ali raise hiyo issue. Na ka raise pia akiwa kwa PG. Is it coincidental? Why now? Why is it coming up now? Ama kuna kitu kinaendelea?
Sidhani kuna kitu kinaendelea. Nataka nishukuru rais kwa sababu ufisadi katika taifa letu la Kenya imekuwa changamoto. It is a very big challenge. Na it has shown that corruption not only is in counties or in executive or in judiciary. Corruption is all over. It is even in parliament. But I am happy that the president made that statement, and I want to thank him for making that bold statement. And I hope hapo kwenda mbele will be able to get more evidence on these members of parliament who are corrupt, because even as the blanket condemnation of the entire parliament is not fair, it is good to get the number of people who are accused with corruption allegations, including members of parliament, both of the Senate, National Assembly. So I think there is nothing out of the ordinary. I think it is also a reality for self-reflection as parliament that what have we fallen short of? until the issue of corruption is facing Parliament. Even on the issue, and therefore, I hope with time, and you had the Speaker of the Senate and National Assembly, they have spoken to it. We hope they will get the information on the members that are corrupt. On the issue of what former Prime Minister said on the issue of oversight, I think that matter has been determined. The Supreme Court has said the oversight of counties is done by MCAs at primary level. At secondary level is done by the Senate. When you read Article 96.3 of the Constitution, Senate is supposed to oversight. And therefore, the role of oversight by the Senate is non-negotiable. Because when you read also, even this matter went to court. The Supreme Court ruled that the oversight is being done by the oversight is being done by the Senate and by the county assembly. The primary oversight at Mashinani is done by the county assembly. The secondary oversight is done by, and that is, I just walked out, and you know, I know many people thought that governors would no longer appear after that statement. But since the courts have ruled, unless you amend the constitution and say kuanzia leo Senate will not be oversighting, then we can change, because one of the role is Article 96. We have the role of legislation, we have the role of representation, we have the role of oversight, and we have the role of budget making through division of revenue. So I think on the issues of corruption of allegations in Parliament, we are not saying Parliament should not be open for scrutiny. Parliament should be open for scrutiny because we spend public money. But we really want to know who are these parliamentarians who are perpetuating corruption within corridors of Parliament. And by the way, if the evidence we get, the Powers and Privileges Act, Cap 6 laws of Kenya, is very clear in section 15. By the way, are you aware in Parliament, the only committee that is chaired by the speakers of both houses is what we call parliamentary powers and privileges only. And section 18 demands that you invite evidences. Section, I think 17 provides for the penalties. One of the penalties, if you are found with issues of corruption in Parliament as an MP, one is a fine, two is apology, 3 is withdrawing the parliamentary privilege from the Parliament, 4 is you can lose your seat. So it is a serious issue. So if there are many parliamentarians who are accused of corruption and it is being proven through Powers and Privileges Committee that is chaired by the speakers, then that member can even lose their seat and they are sent home and be prosecuted by necessary accountability agencies.
There's been talk in town about this even being outright war between the legislature and the executive. Kuna watu, we have even seen members of parliament, some sending tweets and saying the president is calling for an impeachment.
No, I don't agree with them that the fact that, in fact, the president was bold to call out Parliament on issues of corruption. And that is why the president even went further and say he will order the arrest of members of Parliament accused of corruption, which I find it within, and I think it was courageous and bold for the president to confront the Parliament on issues of corruption, because as Parliament we have been confronting executive over corruption, we have been confronting judiciary over corruption, we have been even confronting private sector. So even you remember Raila also was also accusing media when we were together with you in Homa Bay over issues of corruption. So corruption is rife, and that is why it does not form basis of an impeachment against the president. I think there are people who are also taking advantage of politics of the day and try to come up, but I can tell you, if such issue comes up, it will collapse. It will be dead before arrival, or dead on arrival, as you would want to put it, because I don't see what we need to do, and we have requested the speakers that they now need to get that information from the president to know who these members of Parliament are. Then we subject those parliamentarians who are perpetuating corruption on a process of being taken to account on facing allegations. And you remember there's the Speaker of the Senate yesterday said that he's not aware of any complaints against the senators. The Speaker of the National Assembly said he is aware. But you know, people are forgetting complaints can sometimes be not only the complaints based on corruption, it could be even professional, it could be other misconduct that they are being accused. So I really want to appeal that the public, I can tell the public that we are open for scrutiny, but we need to have the facts so that those people who have been accused of perpetuating any issues, they must be held to account, including members of Parliament, including members in executive, including members in judiciary, including members on the private sector. And we want to know who gave out the money. We should punish the giver and the receiver.
Recently, I had one of former member of parliament and also former cabinet secretary, Moses Kuria, on live television saying that members of parliament have even been treated. Unapitia pale kwa ofisi ya leader of majority, kwa secretary unachukua bahasha yako unaenda. As Senator Cherarkey, have you had a hint of seeing such things happening in parliament, or just gotten wind of what is happening?
No, I think what I can say at this point in time is I'm not aware. You know, I've been a chair of Justice, Legal Affairs and Human Rights in the last parliament, in the last Senate. I was also the vice chair of County Public Accounts. Serving as the chair and vice chair and as a senator, I can confirm that I have never in any way passed to any leadership office to receive an inducement or a favor or even a bribe to pass a particular bill or a statement or a motion. I treat those things that were said by Moses Kuria as just gossip or rumor mill. I hear, but I've never gotten the chance to interact with anybody who wants to bribe me. But you know, you have to appreciate that parliamentary practice allows for what we call lobbying. So parliament, people can lobby. And that is why you see people coming before the parliament, stakeholders, when we want to pass the law, when we want to pass a motion, when we are discussing a statement, stakeholders that are affected by those issues, they normally appear before parliament to lobby. And it is accepted outside, all over the world. So, and mostly, by the way, the stakeholders will always want to appeal to the reason and the thinking of members of parliament on a particular issue, including bills, including motions, including statements. So it is not fair to say that people pass through leadership offices, including majority leader's office or majority whip office. I think what Moses Kuria wanted to do was just being sensational and being, because unless he himself was confessing, which is illegal, if he is confessing that he received bribe to pass thing when he was a member of parliament here, and then he should be prosecuted.
The onus is on obviously the accuser to present evidence or to prove beyond reasonable doubt that members received or they gave bribes. Yes. What does this mean for the image of parliament?
When you confess, like what Moses Kuria has done, if you confess that you receive a bribe, then the EACC and necessary agencies should start recording your statement and prosecute you. So even the accuser should also bring evidence to that effect. But if you have already confessed, why would we need the accuser to prove anything, and you have accepted that you took a bribe? So Moses Kuria should be arrested and prosecuted because he has already confessed that he has received a bribe or a favor or an inducement to pass a bill or a statement or a motion or remove majority leader, and then, as you said on a live television.
As a member of the Senate, what does this have for the image of the Senate, and what can you members do to make sure that at least you're exonerated, because yes, this is blanket condemnation? No,
I agree, and that is why I'm challenging this. I've challenged the Speaker of the Senate to go further and request from the former Prime Minister and the President those information. I really want to know who that senator is, because outside politics we have our own careers and reputation to protect. So I really want to know, and I can say on this show, on this interview, that I'm ready to carry my cross if I'm accused of any corruption allegations. Similarly to members, we have interacted with members of the Senate. People are saying, let us know who that is, then they carry their own cross. It is not fair to do blanket condemnation against the entire parliament. And that is why I'm saying the Speaker of the Senate, who is the chairperson of Powers and Privileges Committee in the Senate, and is the only committee that is chaired by the Speaker, not even liaison committee that is chaired by the Speaker, to request for further information, not only from our senior leaders, but even the public. And I want to appeal to the public, if they have any information that any senator or any member of parliament has taken an inducement or a favor or a bribe, then they must have an obligation that that member of parliament should be prosecuted. They should bring that information so that action can be taken against, including myself. I am willing to be subjected to any proceeding if I am found of any malpractice, including taking a bribe or an inducement or a favor, to prosecute any matter, including voting of a bill, a motion, or a statement in the floor of the House. Yeah.
Lastly, there was on this issue, there was a theory of maybe the president trying, or the executive trying to subdue the houses of parliament, and especially the National Assembly, because they have been fighting back the issue of NGCDF.
No, there are many theories that everyone is advancing, but you know the decision of NGCDF is a constitutional amendment, and to amend the constitution there are two ways. You either amend through parliamentary initiative or popular initiative. So if they have to entrench NGCDF, for example, in the constitution, it is as members of parliament who can go ahead and either amend the constitution. And by the way, to entrench NGCDF or national government CDF, National Constitution Development Fund, to be entrenched in the constitution, the law provides that aspect, that issue, should be taken to referendum. So Kenyans will go to the referendum to decide the fate of the CDF. So it is never the executive or judiciary or parliament. The issue of entrenching a fund, like consolidated fund, or any other thing within the constitution, it is subjected to parliamentary initiative and popular initiative through a referendum. So to say that the theory that parliament is being fought because so that they don't pass a CDF, I don't think it is a fair theory. The correct theory is that the facts is very simple. And I'm aware, by the way, are you aware there is a constitutional amendment bill that was passed to entrench CDF by the National Assembly? It has been forwarded to the Senate. And in the next few weeks will be considered. As a Senate also, we have drafted our own constitutional amendment bill. We are going to consider and pass to the national, where we want the Senate to be made the upper house. We want the Senate to have veto on the bills that is being passed. We want the Senate to be part of the appointments of cabinet ministers, except the ambassadors. We want the Senate to veto most of the bills, and we want to redo Article 110, where most of the Senate bills have been collapsed because there have been argument that they are money bills. And on the issue of county, we want to still have a hyper overview on the resources that we allocate counties for accountability and ensure that the money we send to our people, we get value for that money.
Lastly, Mheshimiwa, we will not leave the show before we discuss an issue that is happening today. Former Deputy President Gachagua is returning to the country. We have seen a bit of tension following events at the airport. There's a bit of commotion and fracas over there. What do you think this return means to the country?
You know, the absence of former Deputy President in the country had given peace and tranquility. There was no looting and destruction of property or blackmailing or bad-mouthing the country. You know, and therefore his coming back is very unfortunate. He should have stayed back there, because whenever he was outside the country was peaceful. The country was, businesses were being carried. So I hope the police are high on alert, because we know his currency is blackmail and intimidation, and he wants to use his presence to intimidate government and intimidate all of us, to try and show how powerful he, which is not true, because the commotions that we see in JKI are of his own supporters. None has gone there to disturb him. And therefore, you know, today is a Thursday. It's a normal working day in Kenya. Why would you obstruct Kenyans that are going their businesses, people working in offices? I think the police must take charge. I am aware that the police say they had not received notification of the procession into the city. I hope and believe that the police will ensure that the peace and tranquility within Nairobi city is not interfered with. If it is interfered with, of course the police have power to arrest and prosecute individuals who might want to cause a problem of peace and tranquility. And I want to appeal to Kenyans. I hear people talking about human rights. They can never be development or human rights when we don't have a country. I want to quote the former Prime Minister when he said, it was better to have an imperfect country over a collapsed nation. And I think that is where all of us coalesce around. And I hope that the coming of the former Deputy President in the country will not see the resurgence of looting of businesses, burning of police stations, killings and maimings. He must, should he run afoul, he must be arrested and be prosecuted, because he is not above the law. The Constitution, in our Constitution, no one is above the law. The breach of peace is a serious criminal offense. They must be, and I know there is no value whatsoever, because he stands impeached. There is no value that he is giving this country, apart from what he did in the US was just to discuss the integrity of our nation. By the way, who goes and discusses about his family in another family? You are just bad-mouthing the other family. Yet if he thought Kenya is one of the worst, why would he come back? He should have stayed there.
Thank you very much, Mheshimiwa, for your insights. We hope to hear again from you anytime soon. Thank you very much for watching. This has been Sauti TV with Mheshimiwa Cherarkey. Thank you very much.